He took Mu'adh, and Mu'adh was on his camel. And he walked him out to the edge of the desert. And he told Mu'adh, after giving him instructions that we all know, how will you judge? I will judge by the Kitab of Allah, the Sunnah of the Prophet and my ijtihad. He says, oh Mu'adh, when you come back next year, you might just find my masjid and my grave. So Mu'adh started to cry in torrents of tears, Jashan. He started to cry, bawl at this, the knowledge that he's not going to see Rasulullah again. And the Prophet ﷺ, he looked back at Medina in the distance and he said to Mu'adh, and he said to us, he said, Awla nasibi al-muttaqun, man kanu wa haythu kanu. He said, the closest people to me who deserve me most are the muttaqeen, who are most conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever they are and wherever they are. As if to tell Mu'adh, don't think because you're going far from me that you're not close to me. Even though in the dunya we have to part from each other, you will always be close to me if you're one of the muttaqun. And the Prophet ﷺ, by looking away from Mu'adh, it's like he's looking generations into the future and looking at us. And telling us that if we want to be close to Rasulullah ﷺ, then we have to bring this taqwa into our lives. And the Prophet ﷺ, then he told Mu'adh, he said, oh Mu'adh. Mu'adh says, the last thing I ever heard from Rasulullah ﷺ, when I put my foot into my stirrup, is when he said, oh Mu'adh, ahsin khuluqak linnas. He said, oh Mu'adh, perfect your character for people. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was sent on an exalted, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He was sent on a great station of character. And he said, مَا بُعِثْتُ إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. He goes, I was only sent to perfect perfect character deeds. And so the Prophet ﷺ enjoined that on all of us. When the time to part came closer, all the hearts were filled with fear. What will happen if he leaves us in this world? There's none more dear. In his final illness, Abu Bakr led the daily prayer. From his wound the Prophet smiled, giving one last look of care. On the last day of the Prophet's life, Abu Bakr was leading the Muslims in prayer, and the Prophet's room was in the front of the masjid. The curtain drew back, and he was looking at his ummah. And they thought, when they saw, imagine how happy they were after many days of illness. They saw the face of Rasulullah shining bright, like brighter than the moon. And they all thought maybe the Rasulullah has gotten better and he's going to come and lead the prayer. But the Prophet, they all hesitated in the middle of their prayer. But actually the ulama say, looking at the Prophet, responding to the Prophet, hesitating in the Prophet does not break your prayer. In fact, you're waiting for Rasulullah, so you're still in ibadah. And so the Prophet, rather than joining them, he gave them ishara to keep going, continue. And he was smiling at them. And they say that he was smiling because finally he was pleased to see that his whole ummah was united in salah, standing behind Abu Bakr as the leader. And the Prophet, the curtain went down slowly, and they said that was the last time they ever saw Rasulullah in this lifetime. Then as our beloved Prophet lay in Aisha's arms, he spoke, guard your prayers and fear Allah in how you treat your servant folk. Then he gazed towards the heavens and began to say softly, Allahumma gather me into the highest company. Allahumma gather me into the highest company. Allahumma gather me into the highest company. Allahumma ila rafiq al-a'la. The Prophet would say. And he said it over and over until they could not hear his voice anymore into his chest. And with that the Prophet left this world, the universe shed tears. All the precious time they'd had with him had been the best of years. La ilaha illallah, 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 Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatu. Now that the hearts are feeling like they miss the Prophet ﷺ. Now the hearts are feeling the emotion of missing the Prophet ﷺ. We say this, how I wish I'd met the Prophet to touch his soft hands with mine, or to look upon his face from which prophetic light would shine, or to shield him when the rocks were thrown so they'd hit me instead. But my consolation comes in what Rasulullah has said. From the Sahih Hadith, from the narrations. While my life was good for you, my death will be good for you too. I'll be shown your deeds, so when I see a sin, I'll pray for you. And he said, O people, if you one day face calamity, find your strength by thinking of the pain you felt by losing me. When he missed his brothers, his companions asked, then who are we? Friends, he said, my brothers never saw me, yet believed in me. La ilaha illallah, 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 Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Our relationship with the Prophet ﷺ is not over. Every time we give salam on him, the Prophet ﷺ said his soul has been returned back into his body, aruddu alayhi salam, that I give back the salams. Every time we give salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ, Allah sent 10 times the like of that salat. And what is Allah's salawat to us compared to our salat to the Prophet ﷺ? The Prophet ﷺ has said, if you see me in a dream, you have really seen me, because the shaitan cannot take my form. This relationship is not a broken relationship. It's not someone who died and is gone, a historic figure. The Prophet ﷺ is engaged with us. Now this last section that I'll just finish off, I need you all to help me. In between every couplet that I sing, we're going to talk about the Day of Judgment. I want you all to say, Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Just once. How do you say it? Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. If you long to meet the messenger, then patience is the key. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Okay, that was a false stop. If you long to, but you guys did good. If you long to, I just want you to imagine the time now. After never being able to see him, but loving him so much and following his sunnah to the end of your life, when your grave opens up, and your mother and father are going to be running from you, your children are going to be running for you, and you finally get to see Rasulullah. If you long to meet the messenger, then patience is the key. At the start of the hereafter, you will see him finally. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. He will be the leader of humanity on Judgment Day. After all, he was the messenger when Adam was still clay. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. When the prophets on that day will only say, Nafsi, Nafsi, he will plead before Allah, crying, my ummah, ummati. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. He will bow and praise Allah in words no one before has said. He'll be granted intercession as he lifts his noble head. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. He will beg Allah to pardon us, so sinner don't despair. He won't take his seat in heaven till his ummah joins him there. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. The Prophet ﷺ told us about this intercession. He says, Shafa'ati li ahli al-kabair min ummati. My intercession is for those people from my ummah who commit the major sins. He said, do you think it's for the people who are the muttaqeen, my intercession? Do you think I'm going to come in between you and hellfire for the pious people? He said, no. It's for the mudnibeen and mutalawwithin. It's going to be for the sinful Muslims, the dirty, polluted Muslims who did those things that they felt so dirty. The Prophet ﷺ will come and intercede for them. The Prophet ﷺ said, he said to the point, where he said, on the Day of Judgment, when all the good Muslims have gone into Jannah, and the bad Muslims, some of the people who are very sinful are still in Jahannam, the Anbiya will be seated on mimbars of light. And the Prophet ﷺ said, all the mimbars will be taken by the Anbiya seated. He said, except my mimbar. It will be empty. And I will be standing straight. Why? Out of fear that if I take my seat, that the gates of Jannah will be closed, and then some of the believers of my ummah will be left outside forever. Because once the gates of Jannah are closed, that's it. It's eternity in heaven or eternity in Jahannam. And so the Prophet ﷺ will go to Allah back and forth, and say, Allah, ummati, ummati. And Allah will ask, O Muhammad, what do you want me to do with your ummah? And the Prophet ﷺ will say, Ummati, Ummati. And then finally he will get a piece of paper, it is said, sikak, on which the names of some of the men who were the most, may Allah save us, some of the most wicked among this ummah. And those names of those men will be on this sheet. And he will go to the hellfire and give this sheet to Malik, Khazin al-Nar, as the reports say. And this angel will then, by that intercession, take out those people who are the most sinful of the Muslims and take them out where they will go into Jannah. And he will say to the Prophet, he will say, "Oh Muhammad, didn't you leave anybody for the anger of your Lord from this ummah? Didn't you leave anybody to be punished?" And so the Prophet ﷺ, subhanAllah, this is how he will intercede for us. Let us gain his, and then we make dua. Allahumma join us with your chosen Prophet on the day when the world is resurrected with the souls in disarray. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Let us gain his intercession when we're taken to account. Let us quench our thirst forever when we meet him at his fount. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. When a man once asked for heaven in the Prophet's company, "Help me get you this," he told him, "by prostrating frequently." Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. If we fear that our good deeds are few and sin stacked high above, our last hope is, as he told us, you'll be with the one you love. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. Because loving is believing and our faith is not yet whole, till we love him more than parent, child, and every single soul. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, alayhi salatullah. More beloved than our parents is our dear Rasulullah. Allahumma grant us Jannah with Nabi al-Mustafa. Allahumma send your blessings on the seal of Anbiya. As-salatu was-salam alayk ya khayra khalqillah. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Jazakallah khairan. I'm very sorry for going over time. And thank you to my host. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.